Presented by Travelers, and let's start with this, Jim, because this one we got to scratch our head. First off, as reported by our Mike Lombardi, first here on the NFL Network, Randy Moss has reportedly been waived. He has not yet been waived today. There seems to be some question, according to Mike, and I got to question this one now, as to who actually did this, whether it was the organization, whether it was Brad Childress. Let's go through a little bit how this process works.
Well, I mean, you just don't walk into a team meeting and say, hey, we're cutting Randy Moss, and tell the players without already having cleared it with the owner, with already talking to Rick Spielman. I mean, this is not a unilateral decision you make, and if it was, then boy, Brad might have an issue on his hands.
He had a different contract.
Much bigger. Yeah, he had a much different contract than you or I, but he's got a bigger problem than just, what was Brett Favre and now has become Randy Moss. So he wasn't on the waiver wire today. We do know that. We do know that he hasn't talked to Brad Childress, but we do know that Brad Childress has told his team that Randy Moss won't be with him any longer. So we're still a little bit unclear as to how this happened.
Well, and clearly you can tell by the news conference. First off, there was nothing in the news conference that I saw in and of itself that said this guy's got to go. Now, he was clearly unhappy after a game. We keep talking about what an emotional experience it is. Obviously didn't feel like maybe he was used right, or that they took the information he may have had about New England. Like we've kind of gotten to, you ought to dismiss anything that's said after the game immediately.
Yeah,
but clearly he's an unhappy camper.
No. And, okay, Brian, you brought up a great point last week in this show when Brad Childress kind of underhandedly took a swipe at Brett Favre. And you said, hey, that can open a can of worms where now players feel like they can go back at coaches. You remember that?
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that might have happened there a little bit. And, there comes a point in time where a player's liabilities outweigh his assets. And I've got to believe that Brad Childress said, hey, enough drama. We've had enough drama. Okay, we've been dealing with this Favre drama. I don't want to deal with this Moss drama. I want to get this out of my locker room. And maybe that's what happened. I mean, we don't know for sure. But what a doozy, huh?
Well, it's amazing how this now takes the Brett Favre saga off the table, so to speak. But you're absolutely right. When you make this decision, and we don't know yet. We've yet to see page 2 of this as to exactly what led to it. Players will chip in. We'll have any number of people that will comment that he was divisive to the team. No, he wasn't. The players wanted him. The players didn't want him. In all the light of the Brad Childress question of is he in control of the team given the Brett Favre saga, clearly this is a step by Brad Childress to say, I am in charge here. Now, whether it's the right move or not, the interesting thing to me is when you talk about the Brett Favre saga, which, boy, we've lost control here. Brett Favre, can he not play? Brett Favre played pretty good the other night.
No, Brett played well, but for me, this is kind of another week of damage control for Brad Childress. And
How do you move forward?
Yeah, if I'm Brad Childress, number one, I hope like heck that I win the game this week. Because if I can win the game this week, it kind of all goes away. But before that, I better make sure that the Wilf family is on board with this decision. And then I think that because of the stature of Randy Moss, he owes an explanation to his team. If you listen to what the Lieber kid said, come night, he says, he really didn't tell us why Randy Moss isn't here. And I think that's okay with some guys, young guys, rookies, guys that haven't put skins on the wall, as Jim Finks used to say, but Randy Moss has done that.
Yeah?
He's a high-profile guy. They gave up a third...
No, I'm not too sure.